What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Let me say that one more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. Lately, I've been doing a lot of karaoke jams and video dance parties. But Friday night, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. So come join me for a video dance party, karaoke jam. You know it's a lot of fun. That's my regular Friday night gig. All right, party people. I also like weddings. 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 I find that weddings are a lot about the women. And I have a guest today that is a lot about the women. I'm going to bring her in right now, and then I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Angela Giles. The people can see you if they're watching the video, and they can hear you if they're just listening to the audio. Angela Giles, welcome to the What Makes You Famous podcast. Hello.
Hi, I love your energy. This is awesome. What a great way to be in the middle of the week, hump day, and I get to be around you. How fun is that, right?
Oh my goodness. The pleasure is all on this side of the microphone for sure. And I'm thankful that we have this Skype technology, and I haven't done too many of these live. Usually I pre-record them and then I do like a light editing, just in case somebody says something that they didn't want to say. But you convinced me. I saw your latest post on your Facebook page that you should go out and spread it out to the world. So right now we're transmitting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, and LinkedIn. And as a bonus, twitch.tv/KeysDAN. So Angela Giles, tell the people who you are.
I am Angela Giles. I am a mother of 3 boys, 20, 18, and 16. Yeah, crazy time. I've been married 22 years. I have 3 dogs, and I have been in the digital marketing online space for 18 years, ever since the wild, wild west started. And here I am. So I'm all about digital marketing. I'm all about creating simple courses and getting them out there and seriously working your butt off, but also making a shit ton of money, excuse my French. And that's me to a T.
The wild, wild west.
I love support. I have clients, men and women, but I love supporting women because I really want women to get out there and make their mark in the world and get their work out there in the world. And I think that they need it. So here I am.
Angela Giles, when I booked this interview, I started to read your bio. I started to follow you a little bit, stalk you, I guess. Is that more accurate? Possibly. And then I knew that you were all about women, all about helping women. Because, all right, when people say things like, okay, and it might sound political, people say Black Lives Matter. It means that at this particular time, the Black Lives matter. It doesn't, just because you're saving the rainforest doesn't mean that the other forests don't matter. It just means that the rainforests are having problems at that time. So women working with women and trying to help women, it's women need a leg up. Traditionally, they make less money doing the same job. Now, me being a man and living in this country alone gives me privilege. And I'm not saying I'm completely white. I'm half Cuban. I'm half Irish. I'm a mixed mutt, which most people are going to be eventually. I'd like to live, and I'd like to let live and help other people. But you're helping other people, Angela. You're helping women in particular. And by the end of this podcast, I want to know what women need and what women want. I want to know everything.
Okay. Well, I do help a lot of women. I'm on 2 charity boards here in Las Vegas, and I co-founded a women's movement with Galit Ventura Rosen, who you've interviewed in the past, called Everyday Woman. But I think more than anything, you made a comment that I thought was really interesting. How you're a guy and you're like half Cuban, you're half this. I'm a woman, and I also am really tuned into what's going on in our country, in the United States right now, and how we can support one another and lift everybody up. So I'm all about that, absolutely, and I live my life like that. But I will also say though that I also think that, and this, I'm going to say this, and this is exactly how I feel. I also think that you also have to take a stand for yourself too. No matter what your situation in life, no matter the color of your skin, no matter if you're woman, man, or whatever sexual orientation, whatever your religious, political, all of that, the color of your skin, you have to take a stand, and you have to stand for yourself, and you have to make your own way too, right? That's what I had to learn as a woman in the digital space. When I started in the online space, it was mostly men, and we were making bank. And I had quit a 6-figure job. I was making $97,000 a year in a telecom industry in the IT world. Quit, stayed home with 2 babies. A third came, and I had to figure it out. And so I went into online space, right? And I made my own way. And I'm very resourceful. So I'm all about the kind of person that, yes, I'm here to support you and lift you up. And I'm all about supporting, the different things that are going on right now, supporting different groups of people. But I still think you have to also make your own way too. So I think that it's both. I'm not about just let me hand out without you helping lift your own self up. And I preach that, and I preach that. And some people don't like that. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't have what people call privilege now, you still have to step up and make your way too. And of course, people need to lift you up as you go along, and some people need mentors and they need help, but you still have to do the work too, right? Internally and externally. So that's my thing, right?
Angela Giles, you're already inspiring me. You're already giving me little nuggets of information on how you came to be who you are. I mean, what made you think that you could help other people? I mean, you gave, all right, you definitely had to bet on yourself when you left a job that was pretty lucrative and decided
Yeah.
to stay home, take care of the 2 kids, but on top of that, find a way to make some income. Tell me.
Well, absolutely. Let me share with you what I did. And I hope this will inspire other women and men out there. So we lived in San Diego County, and my husband was making $32,000 a year. Our house payment was $4,000 a month. Well, obviously he couldn't pay everything, So I started a daycare because a bunch of my friends were. It didn't cut it. I was making like $1,200 or $1,600 a month. So I saw all these men online making lots of money. But I'm like, and then our house caught on fire one day, and I had spent our last $57 literally that was in our checking account. I joined an MLM, and I decided I was going to go make flyers and put them out with my friend to the rich area of town on doorsteps at like 5:30 in the morning. So we did that. Came back, got in bed at 7 a.m., and I heard a big pop, and my garage started on fire. And I remember I had on holy underwear, full of holes, with a t-shirt, and I ran outside with my babies in my backyard. The neighbors were all out there. I was screaming at my husband. All this stuff was going on. The firemen came, and they put a ladder over to our neighbor's backyard, and I climbed up that ladder with the holes in my underwear. Everybody saw me, and I was mortified. And I remember thinking, my mom had always said, you always wear clean underwear that don't have holes in case you ever get in a car accident. I don't know. She preached that to me, right? And I was so mortified. And I'm like, I should have spent that $57 on underwear, but I didn't. Because I was trying to do something. So that's when everything changed for me. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. This is BS. So what I did, and this is where I said, you know what? We had no money. We were in the whole $3,000 a month every month, and I had to do something, right? And so, when people say they're poor, they can't afford things. I get that. I've been there. I grew up in an extremely poor family. And so what I did is I said, okay, I have 3 bedrooms. I'm putting all 3 of my kids at that time in one bedroom. I hired a nanny to come in for the summer, gave her room and board, and she watched the daycare kids for me. I helped a little bit. We had one computer, one of those old ones. You know what I'm talking about? Those thick old computers. I had a ratty old desk that I'd gotten at a flea market. I put it in my laundry room, which was bigger. I had a big laundry room, and I sat in that room for 10 hours a day while she watched the kids, and I would come out and help. And I sat in there approximately 10 hours a day. I spent 22 grand on a credit card, went through lots of scams until I taught myself. I saw someone generating leads on eBay. for 99 cents. I taught myself. I looked at what they're doing. I learned HTML and I saw what they did, because that was back in the day before ClickFunnels and lead pages. I reverse engineer and I taught myself how to generate leads on eBay. That was my start. And I did that. We had nothing. And I sold an ebook for $27. And then I raised it to 37. And that's what I did. I learned how to generate free and inexpensive leads, and I sold this ebook. That's how I got my start. I absolutely believe in mentors and I believe in helping people, but I also think if you really want something, you will figure out a way, no matter, like, you will do things. When I was a teenager, I used to pick up cans on the side of the road and take them to the aluminum place, like, I will do whatever it takes. That's me. So that's me. That's my story.
Man, there is a lot to unpack there. I can tell that you've told this story before, and you're used to having to race it out there. But I got time. I got time to pick things apart a little bit. Yeah. Go ahead.
So, well, I think really the reason I share my story so much is this. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. It's not easy being a woman sometimes, or being a minority. I totally 100% respect that. I get that. I especially understand what's going on right now. And I really, really admire people that are willing to, like, put themselves out there and say how they feel. But I also think that you also, like, have to, like, also get resourceful for yourself and find a way, right?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So you're in San Diego. Every time I've gone to San Diego, it's been on fire. Are you from San Diego?
No, I was actually from Washington State, and my husband's from Utah. We lived in Utah for several years, got a bunch of rental properties, and then I got a job in San Diego, actually. That's where I was making my $97,000 a year. And then I decided I was done working 14 hours a day with the commute and stuff, and I needed to be home with my kids. I didn't want someone else raising my babies and never seeing my children. And so that was my whole thing, because I'm a big family person.
Well, that's something that has been lost on a lot of women. I work 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs, and I keep my wife at home, not because she doesn't, know how to work. She worked her whole life, but as soon as she got pregnant with our child, I said, "Why don't you stay home?" And then she decided to homeschool, and wow, ever since, that child has gained from that. And I'm happy to work twice as much for her to stay home. And we live simply as well. We don't, I don't make $97,000 a year, anywhere near that, but we live well enough to where we have the 2 cars, we have a roof over our head, we got the food, and we have the needs, what we need, but I mean, some people are more, I don't know, you want more than that. And you found this eBay thing. Were you selling things on eBay?
No.
What is leads on eBay?
So what I did is, when I say leads, so what I mean by that is, say that you're a small business owner and you need customers. What I did is I learned how to put this simple page on eBay that said, do you want XYZ, right? Like, I gave away something, or I put together a report, like a simple report on something, whatever it was. And then I charged 99 cents for this report. And people would have to opt in and give me their name and email. And back then, that wasn't a thing. Like nowadays, you can get something free for giving your name and email. But back then, people were willing to pay 99 cents to get this free report that I put together. And so then I would generate like a lead, like a prospect for, that could turn into a client. So I was teaching other people in other niches how to use eBay to make 99 cents and still get a potential customer that would go on their email list, and then they could email and build a relationship and make offers to them, right? Does that make sense?
Amazing, Angela Giles. What I'm thinking is, I'm likening this for some reason to Google erasing the private investigator job. Because really, what do you need a private investigator for if you have Google search bar? And you were doing something that people could have found for free, but you were teaching them how to make this money, how to do it. And that was the value that you were giving them. Amazing.
Well, I did. And then the other thing I did is I learned how to generate like prospects, like I taught them how to go in forums, like, back in the day when there was a lot of forums, like kind of like the Reddit of today, how to go into forums and how to like generate prospects from there, how to use Craigslist to generate prospects. Like back in the day, how it was when MySpace came out, how to use MySpace to generate prospects. When Facebook came out, the same thing. Um, and so that's really, and I wrote an ebook with like 20 different ways to generate free or inexpensive, what we call leads, LEADS, leads for your business. And and here's what's the interesting thing was in 2008, remember when the economy crashed? Well, my husband was in construction, and so he hung on for a couple of years, but I'm telling you, once he got laid off, it was my business. I would sell my ebook. You know why? People were like coming online trying to start a business, or businesses were desperate for clients. So I have this little niche. I could teach you how to like get clients or get prospects, and then you would have to sell them. I didn't teach how to sell back then, but yeah. So it worked really well for me.
Amazing.
And it helped us survive, when he wasn't working until he got another job, and I just kept growing my business at that time. Right.
That's fantastic. So you started that in 2008, you said?
No, I started back my business in 2002, 2003.
That's when your house burned.
My house burned in 2004, 2005, somewhere right around there. And it was just the garage. Okay. The firemen came in time, but my business, I started working in the online space around 2002 part-time, and then the house thing happened, and I was doing mainly MLM, and that's when I'm like, I'm done. That's when I started really like diving in, and that's when I learned eBay. Amazing. So yeah.
And it grew from there. I mean, just the leads from eBay, is that still what you're doing, or it has since branched out from there? What are the steps from 2004 or 2002 to now? What when you did the leads, and then you went where?
So now I do a couple things. One, I teach people how to market. It's the same thing. How do you market online? How do you market your business, right? How do you market your business and get really visible so you can generate prospects and close sales? It's similar to what I did back then, but it's just advanced because there's like you said, there's Twitch, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, and there's TikTok. There's Twitter, Snapchat, like all of those. I teach people how to get on the different social platforms and how to get their message out there so that they can generate leads, generate potential clients, and then close sales. So that's essentially what I do. And I also do some social media management for like some more ad agency stuff for certain clients. So I have some clients that my team does their social media for them because they don't have time and don't want to, and they'd rather pay someone. Yeah. So I help people get visible. The other thing that I've done too, and this is really because I've done a lot of coaching throughout the years, when I coach people one-on-one, is I found that coaching's great, but it also takes a lot of time. You can't scale your business as much. So I've had courses throughout my whole, online courses throughout my whole business. So now I have a signature course that teaches people how to put together a course that's hot, something in your field that people want right now, and how to sell it on autopilot, and make good money, like $5,000 plus a month. So I do that. That's like my main gig right now.
Yeah. And you hear about these things, and I find myself real skeptical whenever I hear one of those, hey, make money, ask me how. And sometimes some of those have to be legit. And I'm hearing in your voice, the way you're talking about it, Angela Giles, it has to be legit.
It's definitely legit, but I will say this. So you still have to work. You still have to do the work. You have to put in the work. It's just like I was telling people, COVID came. And my whole thing is, look, COVID's here. A lot of people are struggling. People are afraid. They're nervous. They're nervous about money. And I said, you know what? I get that. But it's like you have to really, you can't have a weak offer. That's the problem. That's why some people don't sell, and they don't realize that there's no such thing as like a free lunch, right? You have to do the work. And like I was sharing on my Facebook. I don't know if you saw it, but I did last month in June. I did some research. Let's just put it this way. Someone asked me about something I do, and I did some research. They wanted to know about what this thing that I do. And I said, yeah, let me do some research to see if it's hot right now, because I actually look at data, because things have shifted so much. And I determined that this thing that I do is really hot, this topic, which is Pinterest, right? I do 3.2 to 3.3 million views a month on Pinterest that drive 43,000 page views to my blog every month. And so I researched to see, I knew there was a lot of Pinterest courses out there, but I did the research, and people are still, looking for Pinterest. They want to know how to, get visible on Pinterest. So I said, okay, I'm going to do a course. I put together this thing. I put it out there. I'm doing a beta course on Pinterest. I sold 21 spots in 2 weeks, less than 2 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So I am living proof to people that, look, if you really want to make money, there's a way, but you have to do the work. Like I said on Facebook, and I talked to people on Facebook that said, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing. Tell me more. And I would sit and have a conversation. It takes time. You can't just put something out and expect people to buy. And you have to have a hot offer. You have to do the data research. Does that make sense? Like you can't just say, oh, I'm a car salesman, or I want to teach people how to go buy cars at auctions. If that's not hot right now, if people aren't interested in that, then you can put together the best course in the world and try to market it, but you're not going to sell that much, especially during COVID. It has to be something people really want or feel like they want.
No, Angela Giles, you're giving people gems that you have to believe in the product that you're selling. And
yes.
One of the things that you sparked something, and I know I had it and I lost it,
right.
And now it's coming back around. I can feel it, but all right. You're talking about okay, work. That's it. Some people feel like they see somebody else's the way that somebody else is doing something, the somebody else's work model. I guess what do they call it? Business model, and they think, oh, I can do that. I can do that, and they think that it'll just come to them. You're so right. You actually have to go out there. If you want to be a marketer on the internet, you have to be on the internet 12, 14, 16 hours a day at first to begin your internet business. You can't just do it, in an hour a day and think, oh, I'm going to post a couple things on Facebook and then that's going to make me some money. No, you got to work for it. And you were spending a lot of time on the internet, just putting out posts and making sure that people could see it at first, and then it started to roll in. How did?
Right.
Yeah.
So I teach this concept of putting what I call a juicy candy post out, something that's super juicy, and people respond, and then I private message them. But I will tell you, like when I first started this and learning this, yes, I mean, I'm smart and I study what's effective and I see what other people are doing. And if it's good, then I'll copy it and add my own twist, right? But I also am really smart too, because I hired people from, another country to help me, and I pay them a living wage. They love it. They work from home, and it's really inexpensive for me. So I have a whole team behind me helping me now that I've grown my business. And you can have a full team work for you for $1,500 a month. We're talking people college educated that love being home, especially moms with their babies, or dads, that can help you, and they love it. And so there's also that piece too. So it's really truly just about being creative, watching your money, being smart, realizing you still have to put the time in, right? I spend 2 hours a day on Pinterest myself, doing my stuff, because I'm driving traffic. I drive traffic to my website, which then goes to my course, and I sell my course, and my course actually works for people. Like it's a real valid, good business model that I've proven year after year, and people will get the results if they do the work. But that's the whole key. So when you see stuff online, yeah, I totally get it. There's a lot of ripoffs and scam artists out there. But I will also tell you that there's a lot of stuff that works, but you have to do the work behind it, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes complete sense. Angela Giles, what kind of schooling did you need to do to get this knowledge, to get you rolling? Was it high school or was there further?
I have a college degree in political science. I also worked in 2 corporate positions in IT, but I was a project manager. But I'm honestly like I've self-taught myself marketing. I self-taught like pretty much everything online. But at the end of the day, like I come from an entrepreneur background. My dad's always been for the most part an entrepreneur. My mom and all my siblings are entrepreneurs. But I will say this, being an online marketer, having an online business is no different than a brick and mortar business. It is the same. Do you know who Gary Vee is?
No, I do not.
Gary Vanderchuk, check him out. He's like huge in the development space. Well, you'll see. He makes bank, like millions of dollars a year. And I was on tea with Gary Vee 3 Mondays ago. And you can look it up on YouTube. I think it was June 26th or 29th. It was that Monday. And he said something, and it's very profound. And he said, doing social media in the online space, when you start a business, social media is the cost of doing business. It's just like brick and mortar. You have to have an office space or a building. It's the same thing. And so a lot of people come online thinking they're going to make bank, they're going to make all this money. And they're like, oh, but they don't treat it like a real business. You cannot make money online unless you treat it like a real business. It's just like a business, like if you're a plumber, a doctor, a dentist, a chiropractor, a painter, a car washer, whatever, a construction worker. It's the same thing. You have to put your time and you have to do your thing. It just is.
That's amazing. Yes, it is a lot of work. And since you mentioned construction worker, does the husband still in construction? Did he grow that business or did he go someplace else?
He actually works for a company here in Las Vegas. He is a project manager, so he builds semi-custom. Well, actually, are they semi now? No, they're custom. He's in the custom division now. He builds custom multi-million-dollar homes that are like very ultra modern homes.
Oh,
so yeah.
So you know what's funny is that's a duality right there. That's two different people. He builds things with brick and mortar, and he builds things with his hands. And anybody who's in construction, I feel like will always have a job because people need homes and need businesses, need places. But the other side of the coin is brick and mortar. Some of it is going the way of the dodo. A lot of things are going online. People are living like sultans instead of going to your local, big box store. You go online to your favorite technical warehouse, and you say, "Bring it to me, bring it to me," and it gets delivered right to your doorstep. And are you involved with that kind of marketing as well, where you help facilitate actual goods, or is it? I mean, this is generating leads for what?
So for me, I ran an Amazon store for 2 years, and I decided that wasn't for me. It's way more work. The shipping from China, all of that. No. So what I do now is I literally teach businesses how to go out and create an online presence, because you have to have an online presence now. They have to understand how you can't, like most business owners that are offline, they don't even know the difference between having a Facebook personal page and a Facebook business page. They don't know that a Facebook business page is pay to play. That's where you run your ads, right? Like they just there's all this stuff that they just don't know because it's not their world. That's where I come in. I educate and I teach them, this is how you market online. This is how you get your presence out there, right? Like, for example, my sister has an online store where she has a handbag, like Italian leather handbag. She has her own line. It's been in Nordstrom's and all these different stores, and she sells, right? But I still educate her on, this is how you sell. Like she knows how to sell. I educate her more on more advanced marketing strategies so she can get her stuff out in the space. And she just sent me a message 2 days ago, and she's like, "Hey, Angela, one of your connections from Japan just bought a bag from me, and she lives in San Diego." So it's really cool, like how what I do is so needed, and it's more than just needed now. It's like a must, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure, Angela Giles. It's connecting people with other people. Like you did for your own sister. And wait, what kind of bags is it? And you can shout out her business. This is your.
Well, no, I should they're called, let me grab my bag. I'll show you. You want to hold on?
Yeah, Angela Giles got her sister's bag right there. No, I want your whole everybody that helps you out. I want them to be on this podcast as well. Shouted out and yeah, look at that bag. That's cool. It looks
Like this is
functional. A lot of pockets.
it's very classy. It's the Rocco Dante brand. I mean, these are Italian leather. We're talking, $500, $1,000 kind of bags. So, there's that. And then there's the whole, what do business owners do when COVID hits and things are tight? What do you do? How do you market? What's going on, right? And that's the thing. So I talk a lot about that with my clients and people that are potential clients too, because that is a thing. I mean, it's a real valid concern.
Yeah, you start thinking, you start scrambling, and you start figuring out other ways, other avenues. Now, you say you had an Amazon store. What does that entail?
Mm-hmm.
Were you selling things physically, but or were you, I guess, what is it, drop shipping, where you don't have to physically have a warehouse?
I wasn't drop shipping. So I was selling an item and I had it shipped from China and then it was packaged and shipped to Amazon. And then I was in charge of getting the item made, putting it in the packaging, creating the packaging logo, like the whole brand. And then it was shipped to Amazon. And then I had to do the listing, right? Where I maintained the listing, giving all the reviews for the clients. And, once again, even though it's an online space, it's a lot of work. And I found I was trying to do that plus run my business that I run now. And I'm like, it's just too much. It wasn't worth it to me because I didn't have enough time to devote completely to the Amazon because that's a full-time job in itself. Really, it truly is. Because
No, you gotta simplify it a little bit. If that was taking too much time away from your family, from your own personal life, you got to schedule things properly. Angela Giles, go ahead.
Well, it was because I still was running the business I have now. So I had two businesses. I had what I do now, plus I had Amazon. And Amazon by itself is one full-time business. So I had two full-time businesses and a family that it just didn't work. It was too much. So I gave up Amazon. It wasn't worth it to me. But that's okay.
So now that you have some knowledge, this is what you do: is you impart that knowledge on other people. Now you say you have three boys. Are any of the boys involved in this, or you can brag on them? What are they up to? Did you teach them how to do this?
I have two of them work for me in the summer. The one helps me with TikTok, and the other one does some behind the scenes social media marketing. And then my oldest actually he's a good salesman, and he does. Do you know Vivint alarms, like selling alarms?
No.
Like house alarms.
You're teaching me stuff. Go ahead.
Okay, so when the guys come knock on your door and they're like, "Hey, I'm selling solar, or I'm selling a house alarm, kind of a smart home," that's what he does. So he knocks doors and sells. And the kid is 20 years old, and I am telling you, this kid, I mean, he makes incredible money for a 20-year-old by knocking doors and selling. It's a hard job, meaning you get a lot of people that are like, kiss off, that kind of thing. But he's good at it, so that's what he does.
How 1950s is that? That is like taking it way back when people used to, sell Bibles or vacuum cleaners at the door. I'm guessing he gets some kind of leads from somewhere.
Nope.
No, these are all cold calls.
It's called Vivint, Vivent. You'll have to Google it. What they do literally is knock doors. Like they go to a certain town. So they have data, and I'm a big data girl. So they go to a certain town that, is buying, or in the whatever, the data shows certain geographical areas in the United States that are purchasing. And so right now, for example, he's in Arizona, in Scottsdale area, and people are buying.
That's fantastic. Well, and
I know.
You said it's solar, or what is he selling?
So he sells house alarms, but he's also sold solar too. Oh. And people buy solar because it's a great deal, especially in California right now, because of all the wildfires and like the green energy and all that. People are buying solar, and these I'm telling you, these kids, they're making like $10,000 a week paycheck selling solar and alarms. It's insane.
It
Yeah.
sounds like you've trained them well, and then the other kids are helping you out with your TikTok. I mean, I definitely need a kid to help me out if I ever started doing a TikTok. I know that you and have you and Galit were are doing TikTok brand new. How long have you been doing the TikTok thing? Is it helping your business at all?
Yes, I've been doing TikTok, like actually doing. I started an account maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but I actually started like actually growing it about 2 months ago, and I literally just hit the 1,000 follower mark so I can go live now, but I haven't gone live yet. So I would say that it will help my business because I'm just getting visible on it now, but I think I need to get to 15, 20, 30,000 followers before um, I really can see like some revenue from it because what it will do is drives people to your YouTube channel and your Instagram. And then, you have a fun, it's called a funnel. They go to YouTube, they watch my videos about my courses, and then they will opt into my list, and then I sell to my list. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
So,
It's so much. And you all right, beyond the selling of your school, of your lesson plan, do you also get revenue from some of these social streams as well?
no, I just use them to get visible and to like, market myself. And I use them to help. I also have a side of my business, like I said, where I do other people's marketing for them. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you've taken this. I knew this internet eventually was going to get somebody was going to enjoy it, and you've taken internet and made it into a business. That's fantastic. And now you're teaching other people how to do it. It blows my mind. You can make money doing whatever you want, whatever you like to do. You could turn it into a business, and you've done just that. And you raised three boys while you're at it. That's fantastic. And now you got two of those boys involved. And that's what a way to bond with your kids than to get them involved in doing this stuff and give them a little spending money on top of it. I love it.
Well, it's really, really great. And I will say this, COVID came. I live in Vegas. Everything's closed. I have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. It's like they wanted to go get summer jobs because I'm like, I'm one of those kind of old-fashioned parents. You get a job, you know, you need to learn how to work. It's just how I feel. You have to do, and they have phones and cars and all that, but I'm like, look, you got to get in the real world. It's not all hunky dory out there. Like you have to experience life. But there's no, like the jobs, like it was 25% unemployment right now in Vegas. So, or I mean, Nevada. So I'm like, you can work for me, but they still have to work. They don't get paid if they don't work. I mean, it's a real valid money comes out of their paycheck, goes to the government kind of thing.
Oh,
And I pay them like 10, $12 an hour. It's not like they're getting, no, like they have to work. So so I will say this, yes, I have built a business, but it's not always easy. It's just like anything else. Like you run a business, there's goods, there's all up and down, and it's all like 95% of running your own business is mindset. If you have a shitty mindset or a crappy mindset, excuse my French, it affects your business.
and one of the first things you do is you tap your family, and that's one thing that you had the advantage of is you had some boys that were willing, or some family that was willing to get on board with you. Yes, it's mutually beneficial. They get a little spending money, and you get somebody to help you create your content that helps
Yeah,
drive traffic to your various social medias, and in turn, that helps for you to sell your course. Man,
right.
it's all fantastic. Yeah, you're doing well, Angela Giles. And then on top of it, you got this nice husband that's building these $1 million homes and businesses and stuff. That's uh, and you're living in Vegas. That's one of my favorite places is Vegas. Not because I gambled. I think I only ever put a quarter into a one-armed bandit one time when I was 16. Way too young to be doing that. I just happened to be walking
Yeah,
through a casino with my family, and I said, "Well, let me put a quarter in there." And I hit it, and no, nothing came out. But because I like the town because of Circus and all the other things there are to do there in that town. What do you like to do in Vegas for fun?
well, we don't gamble a ton, but we like to go to the shows. They have a thing called house seats, so I'm going to shout out house seats because I think it's amazing. So the way that it works is you pay like I don't know, $90 a year and you get 2 tickets. So say like there's shows that aren't full, you know, well, you can get a free ticket. You get free tickets to these shows because they want that, they want the show to look like it's full. So you can come in if you're a Vegas resident and come to these shows, and then, you can purchase drinks and all of that. So we get to see shows all the time for like, I mean, really it's just paying for parking and getting a drink if you want a drink. And I don't even drink. I'm like, energy drink girl. So whatever. But we have a lot of fun doing that. I like to go to the strip here or there, but we're just like, we live in a suburb, Henderson. We live in a great town. We just do a lot of movies, and even when the movies are there, or go to dinner, we're just like normal people, right? So, I don't know. Life is interesting. And my husband's job, he works for someone else. So he's got 3 houses right now that he's finishing and turning over. And people that are building multi-million-dollar homes tend to be very picky, and they want it a certain way. And my husband's really good at being picky. He's very picky. And so that's stressful. So a lot of times he just wants to be home, and I get it. So, we have that kind of thing going too.
Well, Angela Giles, that's one of the things about working for yourself is health insurance and other insurance. Sometimes it's so expensive to do it, and working for somebody else, it's nice to have a job that's steady. Maybe it doesn't make as much money as it would if you owned it all yourself, but you don't have all the liability yourself.
Right.
So I'm guessing he has that job that has the health benefits and that kind of thing.
Oh, right. It's a great company. He's got all the health benefits, and he has a good salary. Don't get me wrong. So we kind of have the best of both worlds in that way, because I stay home. I built a good business. I have good money coming in every month, and he has a steady paycheck, and he's got health benefits, but that's what our choice, but I will tell you, starting out, as I shared my story, the first few years was not easy at all. I mean, not at all when I quit.
No, absolutely. You're making 30,000 a year, and you're spending 26,000 in house payments. And so, yeah, you didn't have a lot
Well,
to.
yeah, it was 4,000 a month, so it was actually like 12 times 4, like 48,000 a year, just in house payment. So, like, we had to figure it out. We lived like by the skin of our skin. I learned how to shop. I learned where the cheap grocery stores were. I learned, there's a place in San Diego called Grocery Outlet. I shopped there. So, because I really wanted to grow my business, I did whatever it took. Literally.
Angela Giles, you strip down to the simple life to get where you want to get. And now you could probably afford a few of the extras, the extra cheese. I have a Joe job myself that does the insurance part, but then I do other jobs on top of it for the extra cheese, so we can have a little bit extra. And it's good to be hardworking. And you taught your kids well. You know what I got for my 9th birthday? A job. That it's good that the kids go out and get some work, go bag groceries or mow lawns or babysit, that kind of thing. It's good.
Absolutely. And let me share, it's interesting. So we were talking earlier about this country, and, like you were talking about Black Lives Matter and all of that. And I was on the phone. It was something about insurance, because a member of my family has a health issue right now. So I was dealing with some insurance stuff, and I was talking to the lady, and, she was African American, and she is working 2 jobs. And we were talking about, like, we were having a really candid conversation, and I'm like, how can I support you more? Because she was working at this insurance company, like a call center, and she worked at Pizza Hut as a manager, right? And she's a single mom with 2 little kids. And I'm like, what can I do to support you and your, how you feel and uplift you more? And I said, I'm on 2 charity boards. I do this sort of thing in the community, like what I do. But I said, I don't know what else I can do. Like, what would you tell me to do? And for her, she's like, just keep doing what you're doing, but having conversations. And I will say to you that I was so impressed by this woman, because she believes in what she believes, and she shared that. And I commend her so much for sharing how she feels and how she's experienced life. But I also commend her because she is willing to work 2 jobs to take care of her babies. And I was so proud of her, and I didn't know her from Adam because she's willing to stand up for, how she feels and how she feels like life, as an African American in the United States, what she's experienced. But she was vocal about it, but she was also willing to do whatever it took to take care of her family. And that's what I'm saying. Even I use her as an example because I'm like, that is freaking awesome. Like, and I told her, I said, if you ever want to work online, you've got my information, reach out to me, I will help you, because she was amazing. And so it's just like, we all kind of have to do our part. And that's what I was saying earlier about being a woman. If you want to call women minority, or a lot of women need to feel more empowered, yes, I'm here to help you, and I've done it. And Glee, it's the same way. We're all about empowering women, but at the same time, I want you to be like this other lady I was talking to. She's willing to do whatever it takes to, like, grow her own self and be there for her kids. Like, this woman, like, I'm telling you, such a great attitude. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, want change. Don't be afraid to talk about it, but also go do something about it, if that makes sense.
Angela Giles, I fully believe that we are living in America, the best country that you can pull yourself up and make anything you want out of yourself. We're not suppressed in many ways. If you can start from nothing. I just watched Hamilton. I finally, for the first time over the last weekend, and I remember the Thomas Jefferson character was talking about Hamilton trying to live above his status. And that's one thing that you can do in America, is increase your status by working hard. And one way you can do it is definitely, maybe anybody that's listening, maybe it's going through Angela Giles's course. Maybe that's a way that you can build yourself up, for sure.
Yeah, well, you can, but I will say, though, that doesn't discount the fact that, there is certain things in our country that can be fixed, or that we can, work on as a society. I agree. But I also think that you can't use that as an excuse. Any one of us. I'm just saying, as a broad statement, nobody, me as a woman, anybody minority, anybody, with different orientation, politically, religious, sexually, you can't use that as an excuse not to get out and do what you want to do to become who you want to be. But we as a society need to fix certain things in our society. So I think that there's like room for everything, is what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Because I don't want people to think that I'm like, I do believe that there's things in our country that need to change, but I also believe, as an individual, step up and do your part. And then, the country needs to meet you halfway, if you will, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, Angela Giles. I mean, that's one of the reasons I started this thing, is to help people out. I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, I thought the only way to get up was just to move up and go, and not help anybody on the way up. I helped very few people on the way up in my earlier life. But now that I'm grown and I've learned a few things, I realize, if we help each other out, everybody wins, everybody gets better. And man, you talk about empowerment and women. And okay, I'm going to ask you a question that might be out of left field. Joe Biden, he says, I'm going to pick my vice president will be a woman of color. And for me, I think he should just pick the best person for the job, instead of, I don't know. I don't feel like I've ever oppressed anybody, personally, but it feels like that might be a kind of reverse racism. I mean, yes, women need help, and women of color especially, in particular, need help. But to pick somebody I mean, that might be the best person for a job. He might find a woman of color that is the best person for the job. I know that there's some up there. Who was the girl that was running for president? The one from Hawaii.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, but she was great. But for him to say, I'm picking
I know.
rather than the best person for the job.
What you're saying. And I get what you're saying. And I used to think like that too, but there's another side of the coin. And it took me a little bit of time to get it. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just going to share with you what I learned and how I learned this. So, on one of my charity boards, it's mainly African American women that are like the leaders. And I'm on the board too. There's a handful of us that are, white, if you will, and then the rest are African American. And these women are brilliant, like literally like top notch women. And, it was all when all this stuff started, we started having conversations. And I said, I don't get it. Like, I totally support you. I don't treat you any different. I'm not racist. Like, I'm like, I said what you said. Like, I don't get it. And so then he started explaining to me, you know what? It's not about the fact, like, the reason they were upset, they were talking about, like, you can't be silent. And I'm like, I can say whatever I want. Like, if I don't want to say anything yet because I'm processing, like, that's not a bad thing. And they're like, but if you're silent, that means that you're not. It's almost like you're ignoring the fact that happened, like, when death and all of that, like, that happened. Like, we need to, like, say stuff. We need to, like, look at what's going on. And I've never walked in their shoes, and neither have you. And so the thing is it's kind of like, it's almost like we need to, like, just, like, open the kimono, if you will, and just give them the opportunity, like, all the things that they never had the experience like this. I didn't know this, but for example, like back in the day when people would get a mortgage for their house, the way that the bank lends is on certain like zip codes. Like, certain zip codes, they're called hotspots or whatever, get more loans than other ones. Well, you know what? A lot of the African American people they lived in the areas where they didn't get as many loans, right? So if you imagine, if your parents don't own a house and you live in these other areas and taxes pay for schools, right? They have less taxes, like less home ownership. So poor schools means teachers that aren't sometimes as good. You know what I mean? So that means less ability to get in college, get accepted. And this is where the whole concept of people say systemic racism and all of that. So there's a lot more. It's almost like they need opportunities, just like when women started to get more opportunities. That's what it is, really. And so I understand what you're saying. Yes, of course, we want the best person for the job. But on the flip side, it's like, you know what? Maybe we need to like really like open our hearts and look at how do you feel? Like my sister told me when she was living in Georgia like 20 years ago, and she worked at a restaurant, and we were from the West Coast. And so this didn't happen there. But she's like, I asked a dishwasher guy to take me home, and he was African American. He's like, sorry, I can't give you a ride. She's like, why not? He goes, because if I'm driving in a car and a white woman's with me, I'm going to get pulled over and I could go to jail or get harassed. She's like, seriously? And he's like, yeah. Well, she finally convinced him, but he's like, if we go like drive by like a cop car, you have to like lay down in your seat. And that actually happened. And she's like, this kind of stuff is like real. It's like a real thing. And that's not okay. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like we need to change things. So maybe doing what Joe Biden's doing is why, right? We may not understand because we can't walk in those shoes, but I get it. Like, I get both sides now. But, I don't know.
No,
not that I'm saying, I'm not even going to say what my political preference is because I don't ever talk about that. But I just say I understand to some degree. And I'm open-minded, but I'm also conservative. So, I'm kind of one of those weird ducks, but I will say that I understand. And maybe I don't explain it well enough, but I get it. Like, I understand the feeling and I understand why they need what they need. And I support that because I don't believe that people shouldn't have opportunities. You know what? I wouldn't have gotten into my college if I didn't have opportunities, right?
Absolutely. Angela Giles,
So,
you sound like you live right down the middle with the rest of us. The people on the far right, the people on the far left, those are the bobos that are causing all the problems. Most people come right down the middle, grab a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. We all have a meal right down the middle. Yeah, but you're very insightful with this, the systemic racism and such. I've heard of the redlining and the white flight. I'm living in the South. I live in Conway, Arkansas. I'm from Miami, Florida, and Miami, Florida is much like San Diego and probably like Las Vegas, where it's all melting pot. Everybody lives together. I'm half
Yeah, we
Cuban,
don't,
half Irish by
nobody
design.
cares. It's not like it is in some places, and it's not one extreme or the other. Like there's just a lot of, I would say the majority of people are more middle of the road kind of people, right?
Sure.
But on the flip side, I get how, also middle of the road Americans, right? As a woman, I can say this because my husband works his behind off. And it is just to have both parents or partners or however you want to say it, working to support a family in America is not easy with healthcare, taxes, kids' school, college. It's not 2-car payments if you have to, buying a house. It's not like you can a lot of people barely scrape by, right? So when you have that going on, and then you have all the problems and all the, all the race stuff going on and all that, it's hard because you want to like support everyone, and you really feel like my heart is full. I get it. Like I truly learned and was educated so much. I thought I was not racist, and I'm not racist, but there was a lot I didn't know until all this happened. But I still am like, I still have to take care of my family too. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but
it's hard.
You have to take care of your family, and then the government takes some taxes and takes care of some other family. I always thought entitlement programs and things like Medicare and Medicaid and free education, those were good things. But man, funny enough, I listened to a podcast recently with Peter Schiff, and that guy, he's a money manager. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
but my goodness, he opened my eyes to where before the 1950s, before the New Deal, when people would, hey, if you had to go to college and you couldn't afford it, you go get a part-time job and you pay for college, and college wasn't that expensive. But then the government stepped in and started, to pay for that college or subsidize your loans, and then college got more expensive. Could you imagine if college goes free, how much they're going to jack that price up because the government's paying for it? Oh, we can
Well,
get and charge whatever price we want.
That's true. And my husband and I make a good living, and I still am $83,000 in student loans I pay every month. You know why? I had nothing when I went to college. I worked part-time and I went to college, and I got student loans. Guess what? Mine were at 8% back then. So I racked up $29,000 plus almost 50 grand, well, maybe 45 grand in interest that I'm paying.
Yeah.
And like I said, we make a decent living. I work hard, but I'm still paying. That's what I'm saying. So it's hard. Can you imagine? This is what I'm saying. Alan works really hard, and I built the business from scratch, and I busted my butt, and we lived hand to mouth. But can you imagine not going to college, being someone that has had systemic racism, working 2 jobs like that lady I told you about, trying to get ahead? How in the hell are you supposed to get ahead? That's the thing. How are you supposed to get ahead when I barely can get ahead, and I have, a $1,200 a month student loan payment?
Yeah,
that's a house payment.
Yeah, she's working her butt off to get out of poverty. She's working her tail off. The government is still in her pocket, giving some of her money to somebody else. When Grandpa went to school, he didn't accrue any student loan debt because he worked, he paid for college, and then he was done. By the time he got out of school, he had no debt. Done. College is paid for.
In a sense, and I don't know like the answer, I truly don't, right. But in a sense, like the girl I was telling you about, I'm like, I literally wish there was I don't know what I can do. Like I offered to help, like I can help you online. Like I can teach you what I know, but at the end of the day, there's so many people like that out there, and they're hardworking and they bust their behinds and they're trying, but we're in a system where there's like limitations. It's like, how do you get out? Now I understand why some people stay on getting government assistance, because it's easier than Like they don't, it's almost like even if you're working two jobs, you still can't make enough to like still pay. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you can't make enough to pay for everything, so you still have to take some government assistance. So, but then if you stop getting the government assistance, you can't make enough to pay the stuff because it's just kind of this messy middle part, right? And people are tired of it.
I
And then
can't
you
believe.
add racism on top of it, and not enough opportunity. Do you see?
I,
Like people
I
are
do.
just sick of it.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
In this time of COVID in particular, people are out of jobs and then they're
Yeah.
making $600 a week. That's more than most people making jobs, $600 a week to stay home. And now Congress is still thinking about giving people that same $600 a week. Whose money? What money? The money of us who's working two jobs, three jobs, working twice as hard to get half as much. And they're going to
And
take
the
our
thing,
money and give it to them.
but think about this though. I totally agree with that. But then let's think about the flip side. And this is where it's so interesting. Think about the mom that is a single mom
Yeah.
and has the lady I told you about. What if she got laid off and she got $600 a week and she was only bringing in 300 and she finally got to see her two babies that she never sees because she's working two jobs?
Yeah. I think
Can you
about that.
imagine how you feel?
I think about that, and I think about Andrew Yang, wanting to give everybody $1,000 a month, and I think about that, and where's that $1,000 a month coming from? It's coming
Well,
from me. It's
yeah,
coming from
yeah.
you. It's coming from your husband. It's coming from the people that are working.
It's coming from the girl that worked at the pizza place and the Geico or whatever my insurance is. So yeah, there's no really good answer here.
No.
But what I will say though that is really cool is through this whole experience, I've learned a lot and I understand way better than I did before because I had certain things in my mind. Now I still think a lot how you think, but I understand the other side better.
I
So
do.
it's easier for me to meet in the middle.
Yeah. And
Does that make sense?
absolutely makes sense. And I'm, call me stupid, call me dumb. I would rather work than stay home for 600 a week. Am I dumb? I guess I must be a moron because I want to go
Yeah.
out and get a job and I want to work.
I don't think you're dumb, but what I will say though is if you have a better opportunity to get a job than some of these other people because of their background and because of their skill set. That's the challenge. So for them, it makes more sense. Like who wouldn't want to stay home? Like there's a fine line to walk there, and just trust me. Being a woman, I get it more. Maybe so because women have always historically made less than men. When I worked in IT, I am telling you, I was one of the very few women, and men made I was making 80,000 when I started. The same men were doing the same damn job. They were making 104,000, 24,000 more dollars a year. And I thought 80,000 was good. Don't get me wrong. I worked my can off to make that money, but they were making $24,000 more than I was. And we were doing the same job and they had the good old boys club, which is fine, whatever. But I'm just telling you, there is something there to be said. Unless you can walk in the shoes, it's harder. And so that's why I'm all about empowering women, because I've walked those shoes. But I will say, I just say, you know what, have your boys club, that's fine. Do your thing. I'm going to prove my own self and I'm going to go out and make something of myself. So I did. So that's the thing. It's like, you know what? There's certain things in society that are the way they are. Yes, you can help change them, but it's one person at a time kind of thing. In the meantime, go do whatever the hell you need to do to take care of and make your own dreams come true. That's my point.
Oh, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, 80,000 is good, but 104,000 is better. And you've developed a way that you can primarily work from home and make the money that you need to make while still keeping your house in order, still raising your boys. That's amazing to me. And if women can take advantage of it, that's great. And if men can take advantage of it, that's great too.
I am open to helping anyone. I am the kind of person I'm reach out to me, but I'm not about a handout though. I'm look, I have a program. You can go through my program. I have payment plans. I have always been told I overgive. Even Galit tells me that. It's funny. But I've been there and I'm legit and I'm real and people can find me anywhere, any social channel, reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation over Facebook or TikTok or whatever, Instagram. Um, and I'm here to help whoever, and I'm here to uplift, and I'm here to tell you, if you really want something, you can make it happen. Even in the country, we live in a great country. Even with our problems, we still live in a great country. You can still make something of yourself. I'm living proof. Hey, when I first started my online business, it was mainly men on the internet. And yes, I'm white. I grant that. So I've never worked in the shoes of someone with different skin color, but I've still been dealt with the big boys club and all of that, so I get to some degree how people feel, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But there's also the side, because men are starting to feel like they're in their own thing, like they're the whole, well, men are bad, kind of like that whole thing, and that's not okay either. I have 4 men in my household. That's not okay either. So we need to be mindful of that too. So there's a lot of underlying things that I think as you just don't think about until you walk in someone else's shoes.
Well, I'm glad that you have this club or this charity organization or this organization that you have, that you're able to get insight from different people, from people of color, people that of different walks, and get ideas from them. You exchange ideas, and everybody becomes better.
Great.
That this conversation I'm having with you is going to make me a better person because I'm learning from you. This is great.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you. Maybe I lost you. That's possible. These things are what they are.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate this is what's so cool is our conversation was very candid. These are the kind of conversations as a country and as people we need to have with one another, that are nice, they're constructive, we communicate change. That's just my viewpoint.
Well, that's fantastic. My goodness, I've learned a little bit about you, Angela Giles. Now, during this live stream feed thing, I think we've had some technical difficulties. I think it restarted 3 times, but I'll definitely. I have the audio backed up. I have most of the audio. What I do is I record the audio on one thing and I record the video on another thing. So the audio, I'll put it out there within the next hour or so. So let the people know exactly, I mean, how to get a hold of you, and how to get a hold of this program that you do.
Well, my program, you can go to my website. It's simple dash, profit.com. And then also angelagiles.com. And all my contact information is there. If you're ever looking to, start an online business, you've heard my story. I'm a real down to earth kind of gal. You can reach out to me, ask me questions. I'm happy to answer questions for you. And if anybody, is like, okay, this online thing, like, is that real? Yeah, it's real, but there are scams out there. So be careful. Do your due diligence first. That's always my thing. Ask the hard questions. If someone can't answer the hard questions, don't steer clear. That's all I'll say.
I think if people just have a little conversation with you, just like we've had just now, people are going to figure out you're legit. Yes, you're making a couple bucks off of it, but you've learned this thing and you're putting it out there. This is how you make your living, but you're going to help other people to possibly make their lives better. Angela Giles, I fully believe that. You've turned something that you learned into a job, and you're the better.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're better for it, and your family's better for it. And now they're helping you. Once you raise your kids, and let them do what they want. One of them went off to be a knock on door to door salesman. That's so fantastic, and he's doing well. And then the other two, hey, they're still close to your heart, and they stay home with you, and they help you out to grow your business. Angela Giles, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for having a little conversation with me, having a little chit chat, and teaching me a little bit about about what you know. Now, I will put the video version out. I have three, like I said, it dropped a little bit, so I'll put three different
Yeah.
videos out there. It'll be on YouTube as one long video with a few cuts in the middle. I apologize to the listeners and the viewers for the clunkiness, but I think you got the general idea of who Angela Giles is. All right, Angela Giles, I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be something that you know, like your words to live by, or just whatever you think of at this moment in time. Angela Giles, last words for the people.
Just be the change. Like, be that person, be the change. Start with yourself.
Well, there you have it, party people. Angela Giles. Find her everywhere. Pretty easy. AngelaGiles.com. Angela, common spelling, Giles, Giles. I'm going to spell it all the way out. AngelaGiles.com. Check that out and find out more, even more about Angela Giles. I got some good insight. Yeah, people are people, and we got to help each other out. And that's one of the whole reasons that I started this podcast, is to help people helping people. All right, party people. That was Angela Giles. Thank you so much for being on the program. What makes you famous? If you, yes, I'm turning my attention to you, would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, radiowhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.